Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed about the National Rifle Association. Its opposition to sensible gun laws. When the pro-gun folks hear rabid anti-gun liberals like me, apparently, talk about wanting to have sane gun policy in the US, they understandably want to hear specifics. So here are a few specific proposals that I think would be a good idea. Mandatory licensing of all gun owners. Mandatory background checks on all firearm purchases, and mandatory registration of all firearms purchased in a nationally accessible database. All 3 of those would be great. One of them would be nice. The NRA is currently in favor of none of them. Why? Well, it ties in with this next one, actually. It's championing of anti-government conspiracy theories. The NRA is the most powerful gun rights lobbying organization in the world, and it owes its success to a single tactic: scaring the shit out of gun owners, which it accomplishes by constantly threatening that the government is about to swarm in and start confiscating guns. There's no evidence of this, and in fact, even gun buybacks are relatively rare in the US, and those that do take place are usually conducted by local authorities and are often privately funded. None of this has stopped NRA President Jim Porter or Executive Vice President Wayne LaPierre from repeatedly warning their members that proposed expansions of background checks, for instance, represent the first phase of a government scheme to come and take your guns. Of course, the NRA has been circulating similar warnings for decades, which must only mean that the anti-gun forces within the government are playing the long game. Its refusal to seriously address mass shootings. Our overall rate of gun violence is nothing to brag about either, but nothing brings our failure to responsibly handle our guns into sharper focus than the frequency and severity of mass shootings in this country. There have been over 30 mass shootings in the US just in the last 10 years. The NRA's silence following almost all of those incidents has been deafening. Although maybe that's for the best, considering what has been said the few times the NRA has chosen to respond in the aftermath of a mass shooting. To cite the most repugnant example, its response to the Sandy Hook shooting. A few of us hoped that maybe the horrific school shooting in Newtown, Connecticut in December 2012 would be a turning point, that would be the moment when the NRA and the US in general finally faced up to our responsibilities and our failures and began to change our laws and, more importantly, our attitudes about our guns. And then Wayne LaPierre came out and said, "The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun." You know, in retrospect, it may have been unreasonable to expect an organization called the National Rifle Association to propose any solution to a problem other than more guns. Still, it was disappointing. And I can't help but wonder what a group as powerful as the NRA could accomplish if it were controlled by reasonable people rather than zealous firearm fetishists. You know, that's actually not a bad segue to number 5. Allowing the gun nuts to speak for reasonable gun owners. Liberals who support stricter gun control, like me, often have a bad habit of stereotyping gun owners as paranoid redneck militia types. I know many gun owners myself who completely defy this caricature. Yes, they deeply value the right to bear arms, but they are also just as concerned about gun violence as the rest of us. They are just as troubled by how we fetishize gun ownership in the United States as I am, and they handle their own firearms in a way that is safe and secure and responsible, and wish that all other gun owners would as well. Unfortunately, the NRA doesn't give a shit about them. The NRA would rather guard its political influence by perpetuating the fear and ignorance of its most credulous members. And the most depressing part to me is how foolproof that strategy has been proven to be. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.